we will begin the program. I'm very excited that all of you decided to take some time out of your morning or afternoon or evening to come and spend this time with us so that we can have an encounter with each other. So I would like to begin with Sister Helen. One of the regional leaders here in the U.S. province will give us a welcome.
Welcome, wherever you are around the world. Thank you for joining us today. It's an honor truly today to have three very talented Congregation of Jesus sisters with us. Growing in knowledge and love of our sisters around the world has been a central blessing on our journey to becoming one. Monika, Eva, and Marion are Mary Ward women in every sense of the word. So today, let us listen to their journeys and joys in the Congregation of Jesus. Thank you, Monika and Eva and Marion, for your willingness to share your lives today.
Thank you, Helen. I will turn it over now to Sister Christa, who is in Arizona. There with the sisters, who will start our morning off with a prayer.
Good morning. I invite us to center our body, mind, and spirit by sitting comfortably and being mindful of the chair supporting us, the ground beneath our feet, the sounds around us, and the gentle movement of our breath. We take a few deep breaths, breathing in gently through our nose, holding that breath for a brief moment, and then gently exhaling through our mouth. We take a few more deep breaths in, holding the breath for a moment, and gently exhaling. I invite us to place our hands over our hearts as we take a moment to check in with ourselves. We ask ourselves, how do I feel today? Try to name a feeling or two. Just notice and honor what surfaces. We bring our hands together to ask God for one grace that we need this day. Perhaps it's peace or patience, openness, courage, joy, or any other grace you may need right now. I invite us to hold our hands up in front of us as we place our lives, our loved ones, our Mary Ward family, our hopes and worries, our wounded world. We place our grief and gratitude for our beloved Pope Francis and all of our loved ones whom we grieve. We take a moment to place whatever else or whoever else we would like into our hands. And we lift our hands to offer it all to God's loving care. We extend our hands now in blessing over our dear sisters, Monika, Eva, and Marion. In our hearts, we bless them and thank God for the gift of their lives, vocations, and presence with us today. And together we say, glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, now and ever shall be, world without end. Amen.
Oh my goodness, what a beautiful prayer, and a very generous and loving welcome that we have begun this meeting with. Thank you so much. I'd like to turn it over now to our sister Jean Okroi, who will introduce the beautiful speakers who have decided to start our conversation and be with us in Encounter at this time. Jean.
Would it be
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
For those that don't know me, I come from Chicago.
perfect.
So my accent may be a little bit for you. But Sister Monika Glockann was born in Munich, Germany, and was educated at the Anger Convent. I find her story interesting because she entered the community at that time, the congregation, and she didn't even know Mary Ward. However, Sister Roswitha took her under her wings, and Monika probably knows more about Mary Ward than the rest of us know. Beautiful lady, Roswitha. One of the interesting ministries I believe she had is to help create and build up the Mary Ward Spirituality Center in Augsburg, Germany. And for the past 9 years, she has been the superior in Newburgh with the community for the elderly. Eva Jarouskova lives in Slovakia. She is both an interpreter by profession and a teacher. Presently, she accompanies people on the spiritual journey. She gives retreats, and she's gifted in dance meditation, and which she offers in various parts of Slovakia and the Czech Republic. I would like to see that in Zoom someday, Eva, the dance meditations. Marion Bettenworth was born in Germany, but has lived in the United Kingdom since 1998. And in 2016, she entered the Congregation of Jesus in England. And recently, as it's already been mentioned, not even a month ago, she was finally professed on March 29th in York. So we congratulate you, Marion, and we wish you well and welcome to the United States whenever you may get here. Thank you. That's for the others too.
Thank you, Jean. So let us begin. and we have a little bit of an idea of the sisters who will be sharing with us. So I think in whatever order you would like to speak and begin the conversation, we welcome you. Yes.
Thank you. So I volunteered to be the first one, perhaps also because my story within the CJ is probably the shortest. But I thought I'd begin a little bit by sharing of my journey to the CJ, perhaps. And as you've already heard, I was born and I grew up in the northwest of Germany in a practicing Catholic family. And when I was a teenager, I got to know a religious congregation through their youth center. And I went to quite a number of courses there, which I really enjoyed. And I think around the same time, I had quite a strong spiritual experience, which I think was the beginning, to my sense, of a vocation to the religious life. And when I was 19, after finishing my A-levels, I joined this congregation, which was a Benedictine missionary community, and that had only been founded in 1949 by a German Benedictine monk. And I think what attracted me to join them was that they seemed a lot more modern than many of the other orders I was aware of. So there was no habit, there was no enclosure. And I completed my initial formation, then was sent to study for a degree in social work, and then was missioned to London, where there was a small community working with German students and au pairs. And that's how I originally came to London and the UK. And I spent the next couple of years in London with that community, but I became increasingly aware that a lot of the theology and the practice really was still rather pre-Vatican. I think when Vatican II happened, the community probably thought they were so young and modern, they didn't really need to question what they were doing or how they were doing things. And there was quite a bit of tension between the Benedictine spirituality that was lived really with an emphasis on common prayer and community life, but then also the demands of full-time ministry. So to perhaps cut a longer story short, after quite a time of discernment, I decided to leave that community in 2009. And at that time, I was already working for the Diocese of Westminster as a pastoral assistant in a parish in London. And I really enjoyed that work because the parish was really vibrant and multicultural. And I had my friends in London as well. And I kind of felt I really wanted to stay on in England. And perhaps with hindsight, I would say that the following 6 years were really important for me. They weren't always easy, but it really was a time when I lived as, well, as an adult, really, an adult woman who had to take responsibility for her own life. And I always had the sense that my initial calling or my desire to follow Christ more closely was still valid. But I certainly wasn't actively looking for another congregation or anything like that. I studied for a master's in pastoral theology at Heathrow College, and I was kind of thinking once I had completed that, maybe professionally I might change or move into chaplaincy or something like that. And then in 2014, I met the CJ. So I met one of the younger sisters who unfortunately has since left. The CJ had a house in the surroundings of my parish, the parish I worked in, and we became friends really. And I visited her community a couple of times, and I gradually became aware that there was something stirring in me, a still small voice calling perhaps. But when I thought about joining and going through another time of initial formation and another novitiate at the age of 40, I really pushed that thought away quite quickly. And then maybe a year or so later, I was invited up to York, where the CJ had a discernment weekend, and I agreed to go. But if I'm honest, I really went because I thought, well, at least, then I can tell myself that really it is not for me, and I can put that idea to rest, which in a way completely backfired. And so the rest as they say, is history. So there was something in York, in the community, in the Bar Convent, but also reading up on Mary Ward, that really spoke to me. There was a sense of, well, this is really God inviting me to at least try it, and I couldn't just turn away from it. So I became a postulant in 2016 and made my novitiate in York, and then was missioned to St. Bede's Pastoral Centre, which is a ministry that the CJ run. It's a centre that was established as an ecumenical centre. So I did some further training in retreat giving and spiritual direction, and we offer courses in Ignatian spirituality, reflective days, spiritual accompaniment, and online retreats, and other groups use the centre as well, such as the AA or Recovery Cafe counsellors. All sorts of people come from all different walks of life, and really it's a work that I love and that I feel very privileged to be involved in. And so in the autumn, after I've completed my tertianship year, I will return to York and continue with that ministry, at least for a little while. I was also asked to share a little bit about my thoughts on becoming one. And I must say, personally, I'm very much looking forward to it. I think here in the UK, we are very fortunate that both branches of Mary Ward's Institute are present. And I've had encounters with IBVM sisters right from the beginning of my time in the CJ. So during my novitiate, my spiritual director was a Loreto sister. I made my 30-day retreat at the Loreto Centre in Llandudno. And for one of my novitiate experiments, I went to Albania to spend some time with Imelda Poole. I also attended the Mary Ward Summer School in York in 2019, and we had a number of online meetings with IBVM and CJ Sisters Information. That's where I met Christa a few times. And during my tertianship, I was really fortunate to spend some time with the IBVM sisters in Kenya, and also 2 weeks in Ireland. And here in the UK for the past 2 years, the younger members, well, the ones under 70, of both the CJ and the IBVM provinces have met monthly online for a faith sharing about the gospel, so that we could get each other a bit better also on the spiritual level. And I think what really struck me when I was discerning a vocation in the CJ was the person of Mary Ward, and especially the way in which she followed what she had perceived as God's call for her, despite all the obstacles, and that in her search for the way in which she was called to live her vocation, she also left one or rather 2 religious communities where she felt that they weren't the place that God was calling her to be. And I really admire more and more, actually, her ability to live with tensions, those tensions that seemed irreconcilable. So the way in which she lived her life with integrity and hope and faith, and was able to inspire others in the midst of such difficult situations and tensions. So that way in which she lived her call from God to take the same of the society and the position of the official church, and her deep conviction of following God's call and doing God's work, and on the other hand, the condemnation and the suppression of her institute, and the way in which she remained hopeful and cheerful right until her death, even in the face of apparent failure. And I think for me, she is a real example and role model in that, because I think wherever we are as Mary Ward women, we experience perhaps similar tensions and are called to live with integrity in the midst of all of this in our own context. I think we see a church today that in many places seems to be going backwards or turning inwards. There are decreasing numbers of sisters in many parts of both branches of the Institute, the closure of houses and communities, and in a way perhaps sometimes an uncertain future. And maybe there is a temptation sometimes to focus perhaps on internal needs or to try and preserve what we've got rather than go out and spread the gospel. And I think for me, the thought of coming together, of becoming one, really gives me energy and hope. Perhaps also being a younger sister and being called to live my vocation in an aging province. I think that sense of actually I will be able to connect more with younger sisters in the other branch is something that really fills me with joy. Perhaps one final aspect I would like to mention is the sense of freedom, which is for me personally a really important term. And Mary Ward talks a lot about freedom, the freedom to refer all things to God and to have free and open access to God. And Ignatius, I think, really wants to free each person to follow Christ's call more closely. And I think freedom for me is one of the key characteristics of a Mary Ward woman, or friends of Mary Ward, any member of the Mary Ward family. And my hope really is that we can live the becoming one process out of this deep sense of freedom. That it will be a process that respects differences, that we know that unity does not mean uniformity, and that what gives us unity goes much deeper than any externals. And sometimes I wonder whether, because of my own story of having lived in a different community with a different spirituality, also of being a German in an English province, personally, it doesn't frighten me. I think there is something about an enrichment that comes from these different strands. And also the missionary spirit, that strong sense of wanting to be available for mission that I have encountered with the IBVM sisters particularly has always impressed me. And I really hope that that's something that will stay strong with us when we come together. And also during the last couple of months in Europe, before I went off on tertianship, we as a community reflected on and prayed with the second book of the IBVM constitutions. And I found that very life-giving. So I think it really captures that spirit of our charism. So really, I just want to finish with this, that the thought of becoming one, as I said before, gives me a lot of hope and energy. And I'm also hoping that this process can be a strong witness, perhaps, as to how women from such different contexts and cultures can be united as sisters and companions in mission. And so that we can really together work more effectively, perhaps, in our outreach and in our mission for God's kingdom. So that's all I wanted to share for now. If there are questions, please feel free to ask.
Beautiful, beautiful. Marion, thank you for starting off sharing your story so beautifully. Thank you. Let us continue in our listening and our the joy of hearing your story. Yes. So perhaps Eva or Monika would like to chime in. Be sure, everyone, that your mics are muted, please, that your audio is muted. So until the question and answer time comes. So I think we'll go to Eva.
Yeah, so shall I start? Okay. So my first name is Eva and my confirmation name, Maria. I was born in Slovakia, a small country near Austria in the heart of Europe, in the capital city Bratislava, which is in the west of the country. But now I live in Ružomberok, means Rosenberg, in the north of Slovakia. We have mountains here and now also bears. I grew in a family of teachers. My parents are already in heaven, and my only sister lives in the capital city in Bratislava. But as a little Prince said, when we want to learn anything about somebody, we have to ask questions about essential matters, as what does his voice sound like? What games does he love best? Does he collect butterflies? Instead of how old is she, how many brothers has she, how much does he weigh, how much money does his father make? It was so nice for me. So I would like to say, I don't collect butterflies, but I like them. And I like also beauty, music, dance, especially dancing for God. As a child and a girl, I lived under socialism. We were not rich, but we were happy. Everyone in the country had a job. I received a good upbringing and studies. I studied linguistics. But if someone wanted to be active in any area of faith, the problems started. When Jesus touched my heart, I joined the Congregatio Jesu. I was 26 years old. I had to hide many things, like going to a church on the opposite side of town from the school where I taught. But my faith was very strong and clear. We, the sisters of the underground church, had beautiful and close relationships with each other. When the Iron Curtain opened, I had the opportunity to expand my studies in Rome to include pedagogy. But I also learned to understand other nationalities, lifestyles, and expressions of faith. After 6 years of studying and then 9 years of working abroad, I returned to my homeland and worked with young people for many years. I taught foreign languages, often in a creative way, through dramatization and dance. Now I have more time to devote to dancing for God. I don't teach more. I try to convey the experience of this prayer in the form of dance to other people, young and not so young. We do shorter spiritual meetings as well as weekly exercises with dance meditation. And many people come, and I do it in many cities in Slovakia, in Czech Republic, and I was also in Italy. What do I think about becoming together? I think God's Spirit unites people. The goal is to love and serve Him more with our lives and apostolate. I hope and believe that this will also be the case in our congregations. I pray for this. I'm looking forward for other sisters, other possibilities, more joy, more apostolate, more interactions. Maybe I would also like to know some personal stories of Loreto sisters with Jesus. I think after being together, my practical life won't change much, but I also will have to open my heart more and more, maybe change some opinions, and that is okay because this is critical thinking. Yes, we are Catholic women, and it is very important to live this dimension in today's world. Remain women, not want to be men, discover the richness of heart and offer this richness to the world, to the others. And also, I think it's important to find the true role of Mary, Mother of Jesus, and to contribute as women to rebirth of the church in the world today. So thank you very much for this possibility, for your lives, and for this wonderful experience to know you more and to be together. Thank you.
Wonderful. I'm very happy to hear your story again, adding to what Marion said of joy. And we're very grateful that you've brought your dance of life to the conversation. So perhaps we'll move along to Monika.
Yes, you have heard that I went to school at the Enger, but no word about Mary Ward. And I have to say, I was not happy at this school because I had the feeling that the sisters there, Sisters of Notre Dame, were very narrow thinking. And I was not happy there. One day, one sister asked me about becoming a nun, and I was shocked. But she gave an answer. She said, you can't have a vocation because you are an only child. And I came home and I said to God, if this is the case with this vocation, please not with me. And he thought, wait a bit. Yes. And the face was really great in our family, especially my mother from Czechia. My father was a Protestant, so the ecumenic style is very important for me. After A-level, I studied theology and German studies for high school and full theology. I was one of the first women who preached in the Diocese of Munich, or who hold Word and Communion services and funerals. My poor parents. Then I taught at the high schools after studying and worked in a boarding school. These experiences were very important for me. And afterwards, as a chaplain at the Technical University. And I was engaged with a friend of my childhood. But thanks God, I noticed this is not my way. But at the time, I didn't know what's my way. I broke this engagement off. And during this time as a chaplain, I went for Ignatian retreats. And one friend said to me, go to Sister Roswitha, because I wanted to go to a woman. And at that time, I was 36 years. And during retreats in Neuburg, you see, I'm living now in Neuburg. And during these retreats, I had a very clear vocation to the Institute. I didn't know Mary Ward at that time. And after this, after 1 year, I joined the institute in Augsburg. You can imagine that this was really hard for my parents because they were nearly 90 and 80 years old. But I made an important experience that there is no challenge of God without his help. My parents died in the infirmary of Neuburg, so they were well protected. After my novitiate, I didn't want to teach in our school. I wanted to work in the pastoral work again. And not only teaching. Surely I taught at some schools, but not only. And this was also a great challenge for my provincial. But yes, I worked in the pastoral work. Yes, and during this time, I had, or a lot of international guests came to Augsburg, especially from your branch. And I have to say, I never had the feeling that you are of another order, never. But when I met Carmelites, Franciscans, or other nuns, it was clear after 1 second. And I noticed with you that there is a very deep connection. And I like this connection very much. And Sister Roswitha brought me nearer to Mary Ward and to the painted life. And especially the painted life became very important for me. Yes, for my life. And it is the key for our spirituality. And I worked for 10 years in the spiritual center of Mary Ward in Augsburg. And I gave courses for a lot of sisters from abroad or also in various countries. After this experience, after these years, I went to a town in north of Germany, to Hanover, for 5 years. And there it was beautiful to work in the economic pastoral. And after this, I came here to Neuburg, and I'm here in the 9th years. It's a community of elderlies, but there's also a retreat house open for international guests. And it's an open community. We have word and communion services. We lead the service on Good Friday, for example, and so on. When I think on your branch, I have to say, I always found that in your branch, there is really a deep and great love to Mary Ward. And I found in our branch, in the Roman branch, there is more the focus on history. And I think to bring these together This would be really great. I have read with my sisters volume 2 of your constitutions. And we were really very impressed by this depth. And so I'm looking forward to go together into the future and to become more and more friends. And we are an international community. I think we have to say something against all these nationalistic thoughts at the moment. So surely we are mostly elderly, but I think we have to say something, and I'm sure we have a future with Mary Ward. Thank you.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much, Monika. This has been a full circle experience of different ways of understanding our life together. Thank you for that. Now, I'd just like to take a few minutes, no, not a few minutes, just one moment of silence for us to think about what we've heard. Perhaps we could open the screen to the full view of all of us here, recognizing that some of us are in groups and some of us are single faces on the screen. I will try to speak clearer and louder. I understand I'm quite soft, but just take one moment of quiet and then I will open it up for questions. So think about anything that you'd like to hear more about or something you would like to comment on. If you would not want to verbalize, speak out loud, you can put it in the chat in the chat and we could read the question or comment. So just take a moment for quiet. And now I invite you, anyone that would like to ask a question or make a comment, to show of hand, or if you know how to find the hand raised in the section below, you could do that, or just hold a hand up and we can call on you to unmute and share your question or thought. Anyone? Julie, unmute, thank you.
Thank you for waiting. I got it. I want to say there's background. As you three shared, you've met us, the Loretto branch, traveled maybe here to the United States, or we visited your places. I had the good fortune in around 1995, to travel to Slovakia, where Sister Ann Heisey had been for a year teaching English. And so I experienced the great hospitality, Eva, in Bratislava and Prešov, and then in Austria, Vienna, and in Germany at Munich and other places where Sister Helenka from Slovakia drove us, and we visited and had wonderful hospitality. So there's a lot of background, like you spoke of. The warmth of our hospitality and friendships has some years to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Beautiful comment. Anyone else? Jennifer.
I just want to comment that it just warms my heart to hear you guys speak so kindly of our constitutions that are very beloved to us. And I can't help for all of my US people to think about Sister Maria and thinking of her smiling down on everything that's happening right now. So that's all.
Thank you, Jen. I can't see both screens, so if you have a comment and I'm not calling on you, speak out.
Sister Arlene.
Arlene, yes.
Can't hear you.
I had to unmute myself. I have to say, I think what struck me in what each of you shared was the aliveness of Mary Ward today, of the dynamic spirit of Mary Ward, and how it radiated out from each one of you. And what it did for me was give me hope that the courage that Mary Ward had to face the issues of her day is the same courage that we can draw forth to face the issues of ours. So thank each one of you for sharing your spirit, and that shows the aliveness of Mary Ward.
Thank you, Arlene. I have a question, and they are reflected in some of the things that the three of you said. And in Marion's case, with regard to you talked about the sharing of a small group of what you call the younger sisters, the 70s and younger. I find that amazing. That you had a gospel group that you come together, I think you said once a month. So perhaps you might say something about that, or something that Eva said, a question that you had perhaps. What opinions do you think need to change as we come together as one? Maybe perhaps you have an example of an opinion that might need to change. And lastly, Monika talked about that the CJ sisters have focused a lot on history. And then you intimated something about that the IBVMs you found come with a lot of spirit and what sounded to me like heart. And those two things need to come together. Perhaps you might say something about that. So if one of you might want to address either of those things that I mentioned, that would be delightful.
Just to say a bit more about the gospel sharing that we do. It's a very simple way of coming together. So we take the gospel of the day and have three rounds of sharing, basically. The first one is a little bit about how we are, what we've been up to, but really with an emphasis on not just running through our diaries. I think that's always the temptation there, but to really kind of share something of our inner life as well. Then we have a brief period of silence, and then we talk about the gospel and what has struck us, praying with it. And then in a third round, there's a possibility to respond to anything that has struck us from the sharing, but also pray for the graces that we feel we need, but also that our world needs. And it's only about an hour. But I think it is a really, really precious time, I would say, because we learn so much more about each other, and a sense of also the common ground that we all share and the charism and the values. So I think, yes, it's been going on for 2 years now, and I found it really helpful.
I think
Thank you.
somehow the interpretation has ended. Am I incorrect in saying that? I
No,
don't
you're
know.
correct. Her computer died, but I just reactivated it. She had to switch laptops.
Okay, so we're okay?
Yes, I just opened up interpretation again.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Marion, for coming to that saying. Any other comment, Eva or Monika?
Yes, I can say something to the opinions. You know, Slovakia is a small country, but in the west, means Bratislava and Prešov in the east, there are so many differences in thinking, in how we live our life. It's normal that you have to think, you have to change your opinions when you know people more and more. When I came for the first time to Rome, I understood that the real differences is in how we think, how we use and understand our emotions. And it lasted a little bit of time till I was able to understand really these people and to understand the richness which comes. I think the same situation is now. And it is very nice that we have the possibility to open our hearts. And I would like to say to everybody, don't be afraid to do it. So more people, more love and more opinions can come in your heart. This was what I meant with it.
Thank you. Thank you. There's an issue of hearing. Can we not explain what can't you hear? Maybe people speak louder? Okay. Monika, would you like to comment on those that coming
Yes,
together?
but only a short comment. Also, I had always a feeling that in our branch, the tradition is very important. And the laws. Yeah. And I can't say more, but I always felt when I met sisters from your branch that there is more freedom, more joy. Yes, perhaps more love, I don't know. But I would wish that these things would go together. Yeah, I think all is important. Perhaps not so much law, but we can learn a lot out of tradition, for example. But I can't say it so clearly.
Okay.
Yes, Helen?
Monika, I was struck by what you talked about. And when I had the privilege of attending the last CJ General Congregation as an observer, the day or so before I left to go to Rome, I received a letter from your director about behavior at the chapter. And I'm like, oh my God, they're going to tell us how to behave before we even get there. So it was a post-COVID. We couldn't touch anyone. We couldn't kiss. We couldn't have any kind of contact. So we have to be tested every 3 days. So I go into the place expecting that. On the third day, when the IBVMs made the proposal to ask about merger, and the voting happened, everything went up in the air as far as directions on how to behave. Everyone was kissing, hugging, touching, and from that moment on, that was the spirit of that room. And on the fourth day, I told Jane Livesey, I made the crossover. I'm now a CJ. I am ready to go. And it never, then now when people ask me about so-and-so, I don't even think if it's CJ or IBVM. I just think we're one. And it's just when you have the privilege and the knowledge of meeting so many different people, you see that it is Mary Ward and the mission that we're all about. So you were great talking about that today too. Really all three of you. Eva, I can't dance for anything, so I totally admire you.
Thank you.
Wonderful comment. Wonderful. Any other questions? Yes, Lorna.
Thank each of you for all of what you have shared. I certainly could identify with what Helen was talking about, because when she came back and shared the experience, strength, and hope of her experience there, with the CJs, I became a converted CJ, as Helen was. And I think for me, this is really what it's all about. I thank each of you for sharing your story, because I'm finding that we are all living the same story. I could identify a lot with all of what you have said, certainly the call. I had no idea what IBVM was all about, okay? And because of circumstances at the time, and for me, this is what I continue to walk with and help others with, is that it's a journey of each day of God's grace and being present to the moment of each day, so that I can in fact get in touch with that grace that's been being presented for the moment. And so for me to hear, certainly when Eva was talking about the dancing, a long time ago, I can remember when I was on one of my, I wasn't anywhere near the community. I didn't enter the community until I was 40, okay? And so for me, when the challenge came of the entering the community, I thought, this is nuts. Okay. But as I continued to travel along the road, trying to be open to the call that I was feeling, okay, but didn't know anybody. So to be, again, open to the grace of God, but again, to follow, the direction that is given, each day. And so for me, the contact with IBVM was when I was one of the founders of one of the halfway houses that were created for women religious, with regard to their addictions. And so there was an IBVM that came to the house when it was opened. And I said, I still was feeling the call, but thought, I don't want to talk to anybody. I'll stay at the head level and won't get beyond the head level. So one of the days, after about 2 weeks or so, she comes up to me and says, I would like to sit down with you. And I said, well, I have a busy schedule, blah, blah, blah. And she said, I find you very interesting. She said, I have been a religious for 30 years. And she said, I want to know who this God of your understanding is. And that opened the door. But for me, it opened the door because the graced moment was there, and just for me, the call after I was connected with the formation team and the incomparable woman. I didn't know anything about Mary Ward, but the incomparable woman and who she was and the trust level that this woman had in the God of her understanding. And so for now, with what I've heard each of you share, there's that attraction, the promotion for me is the promotion of, and the attraction of the God of my understanding in you, in us, and the God of my understanding, and each of you being attracted to the God of my understanding. So I thought this whole idea of CJ, forget it, I don't want any part of this. However, with my conversion as a result of Helen Timothy sharing her journey, again, that's the sharing.
get out of your head, Lorna, get into your heart and continue this journey. And also certainly with the death of Pope Francis. And, you know, this year is the year of hope, the year of hope. And all of what we're getting in the material that we're receiving is hope. But it's also certainly the love experienced by way of this hope. And in the material, it talks about each of us, you know, to possibly be, you know, that woman of hope, to be that woman of love for those that we are in touch with, but also with those that we are that I've been exposed to as a result of sisters coming over here in Smitha. I mean, the time that she came to our place, you know, it was the attraction within. It was the attraction of Mary Ward. It was the hope of Mary Ward. And I think this is where we all are now, you know, and each time God, the door was open for us to unite, and all of a sudden it's shut down. That's how the God of my understanding works. If I'm not ready for something, he cuts me off. Jesus cuts me off because I'm not ready for this. But then when things begin to take place, and that letter that we had received in November, when it was, Macarena said it, and it was agreed upon, and everything that came out was, this is it. This time it's different. And I think to be united with that, you know, with being the pilgrim of hope, being the pilgrim of love, has been expressed in all of what we're receiving. I think that this again is the attraction. This is the attraction, and this is the connection that I'm being able to feel and to make with each that I meet, but also with each set of materials that come to me now, you know, that allows me to stay at the heart level in order to be able to feel the trust, to feel the leadership that Mary Ward is still giving us each day, one day at a time. So I thank the three of you so much for walking the journey with me, and you've given me a lot of thought to take the time with as a result of how much we all have in common.
Thank you, Lorna. Thank you very much. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is, because I want to give people a chance to hear who we are in this room. So when I call on you, I think if I could ask you to unmute your microphones now, so I don't have to say unmute your mic. Unmute your mic, and then when I call your name, say who you are and where you're from. Not more than that, because then it can go on and on. Because we want to know who's here with us in this gathering. Okay, so I'm just going to call on names. All right, Mary Carton.
Hi, I'm Mary Carton. I live in the west outside of Chicago in Carroll Stream. And that's that.
Thanks, Mary. Judy Illig.
I'm Judy, and I also live with Mary and with Sister Barb Nelson in Carroll Stream, Illinois.
Okay, and I know that Cookie is there with two other people, I think Mercedes, but Cookie, you introduce yourself.
My nickname is Cookie, but my name is Carmen, or Maitea. I am from the north of Spain. I have been many years in Peru, and now I'm in Soto in Madrid.
Thank you. Sorry, Cookie. Mercedes.
I am Mercedes. I am here for a year and a half, and I was 30 years and 38 years in Peru.
Oh,
you.
Wow.
Wow.
Smitha.
Yes, I am Smitha from Nepal, a CJ sister. Now Mary Ward.
Yes, and IBVM too right now. Parra. Schmidt. Nora, you there? Come on, cat lady.
Laura Schmidt. I work in the development office with the sisters. I live in the suburbs of Chicago, and it's been a pure delight being here and working with this IBVM sisters.
Thank you. Lorna?
Hi, Lorna Hayes, USA region, and living in North Lake with Sister Betty.
Thank you. Nancy Kennelly.
Oh, hello, I'm Nancy Kennelly. I live at Mercy Circle with 8 other IBVMs. It's a wonderful place to be. But all of this is bringing back so many absolutely beautiful and wonderful memories that I have, especially since I was with Sister Mother Frederica when the 2 of us brought our constitutions over to Rome when we renewed our constitutions. And we stayed in Germany, and there's just so much memory that I have of the wonderful reception we had and the wonderful opportunities we had to meet people. So all of this, it just resonates so much with me. And I'm so grateful to all of you who have participated. Thank you so much.
Great, thanks, Nancy. Jean Okroi.
I'm Jean Okroi, and as I already said, I live in the Chicago area at Mercy Circle. As Nancy just mentioned, the IBVMs that are here, but we also have 7 or 8 other congregations that live here at the same time. And I'm most impressed with the people that spoke today. I really learned a lot and enjoyed your sharing. And I also was at your chapter in 1994 in Ascot. Cecilia was there at the time with me. We were representatives of the North American Generalate and the Irish Generalate. So at that time I said, we're no different when I got back, but people didn't believe me. And that's still, now it's true. We are no different. Thank you.
Thanks, Jean. Betty.
Oh, I'm Betty Crotty, and I live in North Lake, which is a suburb of Chicago. And I live in the same apartment complex as Lorna.
Great, thanks, Betty. Archivist, she's okay. Anne's room, Anne Heisey.
Okay, I'm Ann Heisey. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. All right. Wanted to make sure we had to unmute. Anyway, I happen to be the lucky lady who worked in and lived and loved Slovakia many years ago, and I have marvelous memories of all the people that I met in that area. And then I'm one of the 8 people who lives at Mercy Circle, and I just love it. I just love everything that all of you shared with me today. Thank you so much.
9 Ian.
Please.
Yes, I'm Teresa Sullivan, and I live in Chicago. I'm also a member of Mercy Circle. And I just wanted to tell you how much I appreciate this program today. It was so informative and very warm.
Beautiful. Thank you. Arlene?
I'm Arlene Contley. I also live at Mercy Circle, and I also represent about 50 years that our sisters worked in California, and they are no longer there, but they are present here in spirit. And I thank you all for what you're bringing to us, and it certainly is helping me to grow. God love you all.
Thank you, Arlene. Julie.
I'm Julie, and I live in Naperville. Grateful to our 3 presenters for their warm telling of their stories. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary Paz Herrera. Oh no, Mary Paz, you have to unmute.
Screen. Sorry about that. I'm Maripat. I'm IBVM. I'm from Seville. And at the moment, I am living in Madrid and working with immigrant women. I'm very happy here with my work. I really appreciate this moment we have this meeting, and I thank every one of you.
Perfecto, English. Wow.
Thank you.
Arlene Ashek.
I'm Arlene, and I'm an artist, and I live in Wheaton, Illinois, outside of Chicago. in my art studio. And I have to say, I have been so grateful for the international sisters who have come to experience my place here. And I am also grateful for what has happened today. It has been so helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, Arlene. Esther, unmute Esther.
Vilahos.
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 She's frozen. I think.
Esther Villa.
Esther.
There.
Yo no hablo inglés.
En español, en español.
La verdad es que he puesto los subtítulos porque no escucho el español. Entonces, me ha parecido que estáis hablando un poco de dónde vivís. ¿Es así?
Sí.
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 Bueno, yo vivo en Badalona,
Barcelona.
cerca de Manresa.
Ah.
Todo eso sonará.
Gracias.
Y
¿Benito?
no, es que no sé qué más decir. Que cuando queráis venir tenéis vuestra casa aquí.
Ok, gracias.
Gracias.
Macarena.
A Carmen, ¿no? Carmen, que te estoy viendo que haces que sí. A ver si es verdad.
Macarena, give us the idea of what she said.
Said that whenever you want to go there to her house, he will be. They will come you.
Welcome.
They welcome you.
Welcome.
Yes, thank you, Esther. Macarena, your turn to speak.
Macarena from Spain, living in Madrid now.
Gracias. Sister Dimna's house.
Hi, I'm Christa. I'm living in Phoenix.
Phoenix.
Yeah, I'm Dimna Doran, and I was, of course, I'm from Ireland. But I want to say that my first meeting with one of the CJs was, I was just a high school girl, about my second year in high school in Navan, when this Mother Ethel Berger used to come from Germany to visit our Mother Ignatius, who was my German teacher. And she'd come into our German class and talk with us. And I used to be very proud of myself if I knew what she was saying. So that is my first experience of a CJ.
Thank you, Dimna. I see Yolanda back there. Nice and loud, Yolanda.
Yolanda Mendoza here in Phoenix, Arizona. And I just want to say that I love Sister Roswitha, and she was wonderful with the painted light.
Oh,
thank you. Okay. Next.
And say where you're from, Sister Liz?
Sister Elizabeth.
My name is Elizabeth Carey. I was born in Ireland. I went to school to the Loretto Sisters in Navan, or in Monika, and anyway, I was very happy the day the Lord called me to join her.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sister Elizabeth. Anne.
My name is Anne Fitzsimons, and like most of the other sisters, that's where I lived before, and then came here to the US. And I'm here at the oh God, I can't say the words because I have a yes. What happened to me was that I had a stroke. That's why it's not saying very well. But anyway, I'm very happy to be here, and it was lovely to be able to see going on today. It was wonderful. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And Sister Raphael's in the back there.
Sister Raphael from St. Simon Jewish community also.
Thank you.
Been a principal for 51 years.
Principal for 51 years.
Yes.
Thank you. Carmen.
Carmen Diston, and I'm located in Toronto, Canada. And thank you, Eva, Monika, and Marion. But I also appreciated the exchange and sharing afterwards.
Thank you.
Fills out the stories that we share.
Thank you. Cecilia.
I'm Cecilia. I'm in Madrid, Spain, and I'm delighted to be here with all of you. And it was just, I really enjoyed every minute of it, all the sharing. So thank you very much for this opportunity and for organizing it.
Thank you, Cecilia. And Lejean?
It's Lejean in French, Elgin in English. I'm a companion for the Loretto Sisters at St. Simon and Jude in Phoenix, Arizona. And thank you for such a wonderful, blessed morning. I appreciate all of you, and it's exciting to learn of your past and the present, and looking forward to our future. God bless all of you.
Okay, thank you, Lejean. Helen, Timothy.
Helen, I live in Naperville with the other sisters here. There are 3 of us. And it's just been a totally rewarding day today. So thank you. And thank you for everybody for the input that we heard.
Jane McDonald.
Well, you've already said my name, but I'm Jane, and I live north of Toronto, Canada, on our property of Loretto Mary Holmes Spirituality Center. And my ears perked up when you said constitutions, because I'm working on the Constitution Commission. So the CJs and the IBVMs together. And I want to say that I lived with Rosvita when she was in Loretto College in Toronto. So the connections there over many years with CJs, or as we knew way back, IBMV and IBVM. So even back that far.
Yes.
So it's lovely to see you all.
Yes. Jennifer has disappeared. Maria Paz, no, is she, no picture? Maria Paz Sanchez, Sons? No, she's gone. And Sons, she's gone. Megan Butel, our development director, say something about yourself.
Hi, I'm Megan. I work for the U.S. Region Sisters, and I live in Chicago, Illinois, and I echo everyone's comments. It is a true blessing to meet all of you, know you, and I really appreciate hearing your wisdom and perspectives. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm sure we have many other questions, but as the time rolls on, I would like to invite the closing thank you by Sister Helen, and then a closing blessing by that Sister Christa there in Arizona. So let us come to our thank you.
Okay, so first I would like to say, Monika, thank you for breaking the engagement. What you offered was just beautiful today, so thank you. And I have really appreciated your astute comments on nationalism. Eva, thank you for reminding us again how important beauty, music, and dance is in our worship of our God. And Marion, touching on freedom and being united in mission really touched me. So thank you very much for that. The time and effort that you put into your presentations, as you heard and see today, has really been so effective. Thank you. I know it took a great deal of effort. I wanted to also acknowledge recent visitors to the U.S. region. Smitha from Nepal. Still, we talk about Smitha's visit and how important it was for us and our growing understanding of CJ life. So again, Smitha, thank you for making the trip from Nepal. We recently had Leonida from Kenya with us. While she's an IBVM, to learn about other parts of the world is so important. And each visitor that comes to us that we welcome with open arms offers such richness to the lives of all the people who are here, and then to learn about what their life is about and what it's like in the area of the world. I wanted also to acknowledge Gemma Simmons, CJ, from the English province at Cambridge. What a thrill it has been to hear her on national media over the last 3 days since the death of Pope Francis, to hear her reflecting on the life of Pope Francis. And then also we have just recently received an interview done with Pat Murray, IBVM, and we received that interview from Barbara Murphy, the province leader in Ireland, and we'll be distributing that so people can hear and see Pat Murray's interview, again, commenting on the death of Pope Francis. I'd like to thank Maria Perdita, a friend of Marianne Solario, who runs Mary Ward Center here in Chicago. They're friends and were able to provide the interpretation today for us. And then thanking the woman who made this all possible, Brenda Eagan. Brenda, when you left Rome and came back to the U.S. region, we're like, okay, watch out, what's next? And as our mission and ministry director, you have offered us many opportunities for growth, and we appreciate all of your efforts and your providing these kind of experiences for us. Thank you very much. And to all who joined today online, we appreciated it and having your input and sharing. So thank you. We all benefited greatly from this.
And we just turn it over to Christa for a closing blessing, please.
I invite us to again center ourselves and take a deep breath in through our nose and hold that breath for a moment and gently release it when you're ready. For our blessing today, I offer a reflection of the blessings, the gifts that we have received this morning from Sister Marion. New beginnings, freedom to refer all to God, desire to follow Christ, listen to God's call, joyful anticipation of becoming one. Pay attention to the still, small voice. Unity does not mean uniformity. All for God's kingdom. Don't be afraid. Freedom. From Sister Eva. From a family of teachers. Ask questions about essential matters. Dances for God. Likes butterflies. Beauty. Closeness among sisters, underground church, in and under the Iron Curtain. Finding creative ways to serve. Open my heart more and more and more, open to change. God's Spirit unites us. More joy, more interaction, more richness of heart. Offer it to God. Sister Monika, only child who talks to God. Great faith in her family. First woman to preach in the diocese. At the time, I didn't know what was my way. Ignatian retreat, clear vocation. No challenge without God's help. Never had the feeling the IBVM were of another order. Deep connection. The painted life is key to our spirituality. Our branches bring together deep and great love for Mary Ward and history and tradition. Becoming friends, saying something against nationalistic thoughts, we have a future. The group, warmth of hospitality, friendship, pilgrims of hope, Sister Maria smiling, aliveness of Mary Ward. Get out of your head and into your heart. Sharing the gospel. I became a converted CJ. Precious time, attraction, spirit of affection. We are one. Amen.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Amen.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. We're just right on schedule. And thank you all so much for taking this time to be together, to have an encounter of each other. God bless you. Buenas noches or buenas something.
Have a good day.
Thank you all
Gracias.
so much.
Dankeschön.
Thank you, everyone.
Ciao.
Dankeschön.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Nice to
Thank
see you
Ciao.
all.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very
Ciao.
much. Nice
Bye-bye.
time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.